Yes, crews, what is going down? I hope that you are having a lovely day. Now, today we are going to be talking about my belt. This is my beautiful belt. I use it for powerlifting. Oh, it's awesome for squats. Yeah, we're talking about powerlifting belts. This is my 13 millimeter thick leather, thick ass, stiff ass belt. It's really good. It adds extra kilos to my squat and helps my spine stay nice and safe and stops them discs from herniating. Sorry, it's rattling. So, yeah, the first thing we're going to talk about is inter-abdominal pressure. The main purpose of the belt, as far as I see it, is to create extra intra-abdominal pressure. I think that's right. If I'm wrong, write it in the comments down below. Let me know I'm wrong, yo. So basically, if you imagine a can of pop or beer, maybe in America they call it soda. Right, imagine trying to crush the can. Imagine standing on the can of a carbonated beverage and trying to squash it. If there's a lot of pressure inside the can, if it is full, it's particularly hard to squash. You can stand on a can and compress it and everything's cool. If the can is empty, you can just crush. You can crush it in your hands. So that's the power of pressure. And basically, using the belt, you get it nice and tight. My coach hates me saying that's nice and tight, but it is. It's nice and tight. Jolly nice and jolly tight. You get the belt nice and tight, and then you take a big breath using the diaphragm, breathing into the belly, pushing the belly out. Then the next step is to hold the breath and then push the belly out hard into the belt. Push the belly out into the belt. That's right. Yeah. Doing this, it creates extra pressure in the abdomen, which then stabilizes the spine, stops the spine from bending, and basically, once you want to keep the back in a fixed position during your squat. And if the back bends during the squat, this is usually when I've experienced, problems, muscle pulls, and getting worse, you can get a herniated disc. Ooh, pinch them nerves. And you can also break your back and do awful things like that. You don't want this to happen. So basically, using the belt, breathing diaphragmatically helps create that intra-abdominal pressure. And another side benefit of this that I find is I always find I get less pressure in my head when I breathe into my belly deeply. And so, potentially you're reducing the risk of having strokes and what's the stuff? What's it called when you get a burst artery? An aneurysm. And in the heart, it's, from the heart, it's an aortic aneurysm. Aneurysms, strokes, these are all bad things. You don't want them to happen. So, yeah, use the belt, create that intra-abdominal pressure, and just keep yourself like a nice can of pop. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is positioning. I personally wear my belt pretty high. I wear it just underneath my rib cage. Right, let's put it on. I don't think you're going to be able to see this. I need to stand on something. I wear my belt really high. So it's actually on the top of my rib cage, below my tits. And yeah, I wear my belt pretty high. And I used to wear it a lot lower, kind of around the belly button area. And the way I determine, or my coach determines, the best placement for my belt is he had me do some kind of medium weight squats with the belt in different positions. You got it low, medium, and high. And you want to assess what's giving you the most spring upwards, what's giving you the fastest acceleration out of the hole at the bottom of the squat, and what belt position is going to keep your spine in that straight neutral position throughout the whole movement. And for me, it moved from being very low to being very high. Now, at first, this was extremely painful. My upper ribs, so the ribs that are on the top part of the belt, I was convinced they were going to crack. I listened to the I have listened a lot to the podcast. I can't remember what it's called. It's one British bodybuilder and one German bodybuilder. Come on now, come on. I'll link the name of it in the description. Anyway, it's a really good podcast. I encourage everybody. That's it. Revive Stronger. Sorry for forgetting Revive Stronger, crew. It's a very good podcast. I encourage everybody to check it out. There's a wealth of science-based bodybuilding information that is great. And the German guy on the podcast, he actually cracked his ribs by wearing his belt very tight. So I had this going on in my mind, and I was convinced my ribs were going to crack. Now, as the months have turned into like a year now, maybe wearing the belt high, I don't feel it. I put it on, I get it as tight as I can, and yeah, no problem, no pain anymore. It's good, it keeps my spine really nice and stable, and wearing it in that high position is just natural to me now. One thing I don't like about it is my belly really sticks out underneath it. Doesn't look that aesthetic, but hey, we're powerlifting. We got the power belly, we got the power beard. It's powerlifting. It ain't all about aesthetics. That's secondary when it comes to strength. So, yeah, wear your belt at different levels. You might have to adjust these screws here and move it to a different position in order to facilitate that. Wear it low, medium, high. See which position gives you the fastest ascent out of the hole, and see which position also keeps your spine the same throughout the whole movement and gives you the best spinal stability. Now, the last point we're going to touch on is security. That's right. When I'm wearing my belt, ain't nobody going to rob me. No, we ain't talking about that type of security. I'm talking about the mental kind of security. This is my safety blanket. The mental security that wearing a belt gives me when doing heavy squats. Right now, I'm squatting in the low 300s, and having like 300 plus kilos on my back, we're getting over 3.5 times body weight on my back. I ain't lifting it up without wearing a belt. It's not going to happen. I would feel naked and afraid if I did that lift without wearing my belt. Putting it on, it's one of the steps that I do every time I squat, apart from when I Zercher squat. And it's just, it's keeping you stable. It's putting extra kilos on your lift. And I used to actually train with the minimal amount of equipment possible. But as time has progressed, it's been necessary for me to use this type of equipment and wrist wraps and knee wraps in order to handle these significant loads. So putting the belt on, it gives me a whole layer of mental security, and physically it does add kilos to my lift and keeps my spine safe and is just an awesome tool. So I encourage all of you to get yourself a belt if you ain't already got one. A 13 millimeter thick leather belt is good. Don't get one that goes like narrow at any point. One that's the same width throughout, 30 millimeter thickness, a really stiff belt. It's gonna help with the lifts, and it's gonna really help you squat. It can help you overhead press, anything that requires this spine to be stable. Personally, I don't wear it for bench press or deadlift. It gets in the way. Some people do. Those people are just crazy. Now, it's a personal choice. You got to find out what works for you, for your anatomy, for your geometry, for your belly size. And get yourself a thick ass belt and lift strong, lift heavy, lift hard, or go home. So this is it for today. Get yourself a belt. Till next time,